With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Who remembers the BJ and Bill show all those years ago on WOLZ? Well, many have said they missed the show, and guess what? They're back! Welcome to the BJ and Bill podcast.
Welcome to the BJ and Bill podcast. This is number 13.
Lucky number 13. Lucky.
We are doing a
13.
baker's dozen today.
Does anybody still give? Well, it's not like anybody goes into donut shops anymore. Is that still a thing? Does anybody even remember? That's probably another one of those things that young people have no idea what a baker's dozen is.
Yeah. I don't, next time, because I know every once in a while we'll go to Dunkin' Donuts. I'll say, I'd like to get a baker's dozen and see if the person, the young snot-nosed child behind the counter goes, what?
Yeah. Has anybody ever known what it was?
I've always known what it is.
You're not handing out the donuts. You are the receiver of the donuts.
Sometimes they can't even, use the cash register correctly.
I heard a long time ago that McDonald's changed over cash registers to just have the pictures of things on them so that, you didn't have to actually put in a number or something like that, which is, well, that brings us to one of the main topics of today's show, but we'll get to that in a second. How have you been?
Not bad. I finally got over my vertigo and I worked Sunday, and this is a Monday. We should say this is, usually we record on Friday, but we recorded Monday, which means we can talk about the football game. And I bet you're just happy. The Cleveland team won.
Yes. So yeah, as BJ's saying, normally we record this on a different day, but because of the holiday and all that, and because Mr. Odom that over there was down visiting family in Fort Myers itself, he was a little busy. He was out of pocket, as we say. And but yeah, so Thanksgiving weekend, boy, I think I'm not going to say I had football overload because I'm not sure that's possible for me, but I watched a blank ton of football over the past 3, 4, 5 days since Thanksgiving, of course, since Thursday. Actually, there might have even been something on the night before Thanksgiving. I think
there was a game on Wednesday night.
I think there was a game Wednesday. Yes, wait. Florida State was Wednesday night.
Was that when that game was?
Yeah. Wow. How could I forget that? Here I am in Gainesville, Florida. Didn't remember when the Gator game was. Oh my gosh. They're going to take away my Gator card. Well, I don't actually have a Gator card, so it's okay.
Well, they're getting ready to take away my man card again.
Uh-oh. Now what?
Thanksgiving is over.
Yes.
That means it's Christmas time.
Yes.
And of course, now that we are retired, we have went down to one vehicle for the household. So I can't even drive another vehicle.
Right.
And yes, we have the red-nosed deer as our car, where you put the little reindeer antlers on it and the nose. And I think, if I remember right, she even has a tail for the back.
You're so right. You get 0 man points for driving in a reindeer car. That's all.
Especially when I'm alone.
Especially when you're alone. Unless you were wearing a red suit with a big white beard, and you have kind of a white beard, but it's not a big white Santa beard. Reindeer car. Oh man, that's just terrible. I mean, you're right. Do people look at you weird when you pull up to Walmart and stuff like that? Hey, Grandpa.
I'm one of those guys that just tries to get out of the car, look down at the ground, and just like walk away as quickly as possible.
That's awesome.
It was so funny because she goes, Thanksgiving is over.
Yes.
And there she pulled them out. And I says, no, anything but that. No.
You have to post a picture online for that, Facebook or Twitter or both for that. Absolutely. have to post a picture of you posing with your cute reindeer car. That's awesome. How about, but you have a golf cart too, don't you? You can put them on the golf cart.
No, well, see, they fit on your the windows where you roll them up.
Car. Yeah.
I don't know if we could put them anywhere. I guess we could like tape them. You know, we could use masking tape or freezer tape or something and tape them on. But
there you go.
No, we will probably anyway, because we're still in the getting ready to move mode.
Right.
If you went out and looked at our golf cart right now, it is piled with stuff.
Okay. So it's not really anything you're driving around the neighborhood at this point.
No, not at this point. Hopefully soon again. We'll
Okay.
get all that off of there.
Well,
on that front, we are close to an offer, I think. Maybe, possibly.
I was going to say, let's segue right over to the real estate report. How goes the home selling? I see you keep posting it on Facebook. I keep seeing pictures of your place on Facebook for sale.
We got a couple who have went back, and I don't know if I'll say it. They went back to Indiana, my home state.
Oh.
And they are supposedly getting their house appraised today.
Oh.
And then they will decide. Actually, they made a lowball offer just to see what we'd do, I think. And we did what they probably knew we were going to do.
Sure.
No, that's not going to work. So we kind of forgot about them, and so did our realtor. And then she got a message from them yesterday saying, oh, we are still interested in they called it a condo instead of a villa, but we're still interested in the condo. And we're going to have our house appraised tomorrow, and we'll get back to you on an offer.
Wow. Very cool.
But now I don't know how the Indiana real estate market in Terre Haute, Indiana is going about now.
In December.
Right.
Well, I have no idea either. I mean, honestly, I don't know how anybody is selling a house anywhere that doesn't have an address of Florida, Arizona, California, not California, screw them. Everybody wants to leave California. Florida, Texas, Arizona, Nevada, the cool low tax states, so how do you even sell a house in Chicago or Cleveland, especially in December? I can't imagine that who would want to buy that? It doesn't make any sense to me, but I guess there's somebody somewhere needs a new house or a family getting bigger or something like that. I don't know, but wow.
And then depending on what their offer is, and if we get it in, we have another couple coming Friday who have already viewed it once. One of the gentlemen viewed it. And thank God my neighbor was sitting out on her porch. Because when we got home, she said, oh, the gentleman that looked at your house came over and said, is there anything wrong why they're moving? And of course they said, no, it's a great neighborhood. It's, they're going to move closer to their daughter. Mm-hmm. And then they were a little worried about our HOA fees because they're a little on the high side, I believe, but they come with TV cable. They come with internet. They irrigate, the lawn.
Right.
That's they take care of that. They take care of our roof. They paint the outside walls. And so you get a lot for the HOA fees. So that made them feel a little bit more at ease. And, my neighbor just, this is a great neighborhood. It's a prestige neighborhood and the amenities are just unbelievable. So I think she basically will probably need a commission if we sell it to that couple.
At least a bottle of wine, if not more. Absolutely.
Yeah.
For giving you the good pep talk there, for giving us the buyer the good pep. Well, that's good. Yeah. I mean, and I guess that's true that people, if I were buying a house, yeah, I'd probably want to know that too. It's like, wow, it's a brand new house. Why the heck are they selling it? Is it like haunted or something like that? Or did grandpa die there or something? That's kind of a little lame. But, all those things that bad movies are made out of, that, brand new house, why would you leave? Well, you have a good reason. You're going to be closer to family and all of that. And so there you go. I like it. That's awesome. Well, good.
So hopefully by this time next week, there was at least be an offer that we can be proud of and say, yep, sold.
There you go. There you go.
Then you got to get all the way to closing.
Oh man. And that's, that's normally where the nightmares happen, is that I'm aware of. I mean, that, they want this done or that done, or this has, this T crossed, this I dotted, whatever. There's a lot of little niggly stuff in there. Anyway, that's okay. You will make it happen, sir. You will make this happen.
Well, I'm glad they are pre-approved, so that's a good thing, because the last time when we sold in Fort Myers, we had our house sold. It was all excited, so it was off the market for almost a month.
Mm.
And then they came back and said, we can't get financing. Would you do owner financing? And I'm thinking, if you can't get financing from a bank, you're not going to get owner financing from me.
My father did that once with a house he sold, again, in Cleveland. Why would anybody live in Cleveland? But my father worked there when he was a working guy. And he sold one of the houses. This was after I was long gone off to college, or even after that. He sold a house and he did owner financing on it. And I asked the same question. I said, why the heck would you do that if they don't pay? He goes, oh, you don't understand. If they don't pay, I get the house back and I've kept all that money. I'm like, oh, okay. So you're willing to accept that risk. And he was at the time, because he had the money that he'd already bought the next one or whatever, and so he was okay. So it worked out for him. That's all I'm saying. It worked out for him. So it's cool.
Now, when I had my pizza shop, I sold it the first time. And I don't know, the pizza business just wasn't for me. I enjoyed the performing of the magic shows, but the running a pizza shop was just not my cup of tea. I'm not
just
a manager.
Not your slice of pie there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just not made out for it. And so the cool thing was, the gentleman who wanted to buy it, owner financing. Basically, I'd pretty much lost as much money as I could possibly lose in the place. There was no chance to lose any more. And I'm thinking, well, if he buys it, then he takes over the lease. And so we got the down payment. He had it for about 6 months. And he came back, he goes, I'm walking away from the deal.
Mm.
And I go, well, you're not walking away from, signing the lease. I said, that's still in your name.
Right.
So if you don't want it, that's okay. We'll just close it. And the realtor said, no, you need to take it back. You put it right back on the market. And then some of that loss you've had, you're going to get back. So put it back on the market. Didn't really get as much out of it as we did the first time, but we got enough out of it where I kind of didn't lose money out of the deal.
Okay.
So, I mean, it was worth it.
Awesome.
And the second one wasn't an owner financing. So
right.
They just brought the money and boom.
I am woefully uneducated on all this real estate buying and selling and high finance stuff, because honestly, I've only bought one house in my 6 decades of life or whatever. And my ex is still living in it in Fort Myers. So, good for her. And like most, I don't want to get sexist here, but she knew more than I did. She was just way over, and I don't know how things work in the Odom household, but whatever. And
same thing. She knows more than. Well, now I will say, when it comes to financing, and I don't know a whole lot.
Yes.
But I think I'm a little brighter in the financing department.
Wow. I'm not.
And she's even admitted, when it comes to numbers and things like that.
Yeah.
And I'm bad. So that kind of says where she.
Wait, you're bad, but you're the better of the two of you?
Yeah, I hate to tell you that.
Oh,
boy, I got people going to want to buy my house now. They're going to go, that's the guy we want to buy the house from.
Yeah, let's talk to him. Wow. That's you might not want to be spreading that around too much at this point, but that's okay. I hear you. All right. So there's the real estate corner for this week's episode of the show. And you're still looking for a house. I think, if you swoop in with a big offer, BJ would be happy to entertain that for you there in Central Florida. So there you go. Good job.
Hopefully, we probably will record next Friday instead of Monday, but hopefully by Monday of next week, there'll be at least one offer on the table. I feel it. I feel it in my bones, people.
Awesome.
I do want to thank Deborah, whatever she likes to be called. I think it's Debbie. I always knew her as Debbie. Back in Fort Myers, she made a post on our Facebook page that And she goes, I don't know if this is good or bad, but oh, it's like the good old days having BJ and Bill together. It's just, you guys just gelled so quickly together. It's, she was like, so she was very happy.
Good. I'm glad. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that post, and thank you. You're good to remember the shout out there. That's awesome. So yeah, I get it. So thanks, folks. Keep listening. Keep those cards and letters coming, or in the modern age, keep those emails coming to bjandbillpodcast@gmail.com, or you can look us up on the Facebook page by the same name, BJ and Bill Podcast. And remember, you're spelling out the A-N-D, BJ and Bill Podcast. There you go. So awesome.
So you were somewhat happy, more happy than you were sad yesterday. We're talking about, as we do this broadcast from Florida. We're both Florida boys. Well, not originally from Florida, but we've been in Florida long enough that we like the Bucks.
Oh yeah.
But you're also from Cleveland.
My old hometown team beat my just old hometown team. And my new hometown team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, also won a great game against Baltimore. So it was a great NFL Sunday in this house. But yeah, that to watch the game from Cleveland, where I have sat. I mean, I was thinking back on that. What was the last NFL game I ever attended? And it was quite a while ago. But it was in that stadium in Cleveland. I watched the Browns. A friend of mine, in fact, a guy that I went to college with, who I'm still in touch with, he lives and works in the Dallas, Texas area. For many years, he was a Cleveland Browns season ticket holder, even though he lived in Dallas. That's how crazy he was about the team. And he would either sell or give the tickets to friends and family up there, and he would come up for a few games as well. He would come up for a couple, and there was one game several years ago, many years ago at this point, where I was going to be up there for something, and he was going to be up there for the game or whatever, and so he invited me, and so I went to the game, which was awesome. We lost that one, of course, but it didn't matter. It was fun to be there live and in person. But yes, yesterday, Cleveland Browns in overtime, beating Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in overtime in Cleveland. Perfect, just perfect. And it was fun to watch and exciting. And I was jumping around on the couch. I got to tell you, it was great stuff.
I was like crying on the couch. Not great stuff at this household. Well, actually, I got to hear the end of the game as I was coming home from work yesterday.
Oh, right. You did the.
I shouldn't have listened, though, because I had the TV on in the corner and they were behind.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I'm going to turn the TV off so I can concentrate more on my airship, not look at every once in a while at the TV. And so I did. And then all of a sudden, maybe half hour, an hour later, I said, let me just see what the score of the game is. And then the Bucks were ahead, 17-10.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going, this is a beautiful thing. They got a chance here. I think it was only like about 5 minutes left or something like that. And then, of course, I saw them tie the game.
Yep.
And I turned off the TV because my shift was pretty well ending then anyway. And I went down and listened in the car. Usually when I turn it off, they usually for some reason can win. When I watch, they can't. I guess it's the same on the radio. But at least you were happy.
Thank you. I was very, but I will admit it was very, very mixed feelings. I got a couple of text messages, not only from you, but from other friends who were like, who the heck are you going to root for today? And I'm like, boy, it would sure just be nice to see Cleveland to win a game and do that sort of, take over from that. So it was great. You mentioned that Cleveland scored late in the game. There was that awesome statistic that they put up that Cleveland usually scores early in the game, and they scored on their first possession. And then it's the entire game goes by and maybe they score again. So they had a statistic of game time between touchdowns for the Cleveland Browns. And they're like 45, 50 minutes between touchdowns because they'll score early and then maybe they'll score late. And maybe it's enough and maybe it's not. They've won 4 games this year. So obviously they, on the short end of the stick many times. But such interesting statistics. And then Cleveland gets back. Now, how's this going to work with the quarterback that they paid $250 million for, let that sink in. They paid a quarterback, Deshaun Watson from Houston, $250 million. And then he had his legal troubles and he has sat out until this coming week. And when the Browns play the Texans, what are the odds? And they've been playing and doing okay with Jacoby Brissett, who is the quarterback that they've had. The second string became first string guy. And what an interest. I mean, how do you pay a guy $250 million knowing that he's going to have legal troubles and might not be able to play for you? I don't get that mindset. I don't understand.
But as contracts work, and I could be wrong, they might not have to pay him for that because it was something,
Yeah, he was under league suspension. So you probably didn't have to start writing the checks until this week when he starts to practice with the team and plays on Sunday. So yeah. So this guy better be the next Tom Brady. I mean, this guy better be the next Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and, all rolled into one for $250 million, $250 million. I think it's like a 10-year career or something. I don't even think it's 10 years.
I think we should make that with this podcast.
Yes, it's about what we make with this podcast, give or take 6 or 7 zeros. But yeah, it's close. So then, yeah. I'm sorry, that just totally derailed my mind. But I love where your head's at, man. I love where you're thinking here.
Don't they always go? You think it and you make it happen.
Think it, believe it, and it happens. Absolutely. Think it, believe it, and it happens. And funny you mention that. I was out, a little slightly different story, but thinking about money or thinking about goodness, thinking about being abundant for all of you, spiritually inclined people out there. I go for the same walk. I like to say that I walk every day. It's pretty darn close. I probably 5 out of 7 days a week, I go for a good long walk in my neighborhood. I get some fresh air. I put the BJ and Bill podcast in my little earbuds and I listen to us while I walk or somebody else. And I'm walking along the street this week. And I look down and there's the usual amount of trash, and some, the styrofoam cups and the whatever, the, hot dog wrappers. And I look down and I spot and I pick it up and I go, that can't be real. And it was. And I picked up a $20 bill off the side of the road. And if it would have been in the neighborhood where I walk, I might have looked around and maybe even knocked on a door or something. But it was out on the busy street. No houses, just the busy street that runs right by my neighborhood here. And I'm like, wow, thank you, God, or what? Thank you, whoever, money gods, or if there is such a thing. So stuffed that baby in my pocket, and that bought a really nice dinner that night. So anyway, that's my abundance story for the week. So it was awesome.
I'm just going to say this. I'm just going to throw this out there.
Uh-oh.
Some people would have paid it forward.
Some people would have. Yes. And I did. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I invested in a local small business
that sold food.
That sold a really, really, really tasty calzone, a giant one. That,
You're killing me here. It's small.
That's my paying it forward. I think that's a beautiful, wonderful idea, Mr. Odom. And the next time I find another $20 bill, I will pay it forward in some way that maybe not.
Maybe next time at the t-shirt shop or
at the t-shirt shop or the pickleball store or something like that. Absolutely, positively.
There you know what? We just go into segue after segue by mistake. You mentioned pickleball.
Greatest thing in the world.
Now, as I said, we were at my son's.
Yes.
Over the holiday weekend. His better half, I guess I'll call her. Because they were divorced.
You'll call her?
Well, it's complicated. They were divorced.
Oh.
But now they're together.
Oh.
But they're not married. So what would she be called? I guess she'd be called his. See, you can't come up with a name either, can you?
I think I'm going to just punt and go back to the generic partner at that
Yeah,
point.
that's very good. The partner.
Yeah.
So the partner who also works at a emergency room,
Okay.
as far as taking, MRIs and X-rays and all that stuff. She's a
Right.
radiologist, I guess you would call her.
Okay.
See, that one I know.
Good.
Oh,
Well,
X-ray technician. I was corrected by a lady sitting in the other room.
who will go on, who will remain nameless at this point, Susan. So go ahead.
And she's actually kind of in a sterile where
Yes.
there's a lot of Richie type neighborhoods with retired people.
This is your son's partner you're talking about.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And she was talking at the Thanksgiving table where she said, it seems like everybody who comes in and needs an X-ray has been in a pickleball incident.
So true. So true.
So
Because-
what is this pickleball we call it? Because I know they do it here where I
Sure.
live,
Sure.
and it's big because even our neighbors, they're going down there like every day, if not every other day, playing pickleball.
Mhm.
Is it a pickle and you throw it over a tennis net or you bounce? What is pickleball?
Well, let me start by laying this one to rest right off the top. There are no pickles in pickleball. None. Rumor has it, and this is one of those, this is probably going to go down in history, like when they write the history of the game. Rumor has it that the guy that kind of invented this game had a dog named Pickles, and Pickle would chase the ball whenever it went off the court and pickleball. I have no idea if that's true. That's what I've heard. So, and I'm just telling you, I'm just reporting the facts as I know. Now, having said that, yes, pickleball is the coolest thing you can do during daylight hours, not in bed. So it's like tennis. Take a tennis court, shrink it down by almost exactly half, like a half-size tennis court, okay, with a net that's about a foot lower, and you're using a wiffle ball. Remember when we were kids, you had those wiffle balls that you could, that you would hit with the plastic bat when you were playing little kids baseball in the backyard? It's kind of like that, except it's harder, it's firmer, but it's plastic and it has holes in it, like a wiffle ball. And you're using basically an oversized ping pong paddle. So whereas a ping pong paddle, and I'm holding up my hand, so that's no good. Well, a ping pong paddle is probably 8 inches. A pickleball paddle is probably a foot. But so if you just scaled up a ping pong paddle to something like a foot long with a handle on it, that's what you do, okay? Now, the reason us old people love it, and I can say old people because I am one and I do love it, is that it has very, very little actual running in it. Like tennis, if you're playing tennis, especially singles, oh my God, you're running back and forth. And I watch the young people playing tennis still in my neighborhood. I'm like, good on you, kids. I can't do that anymore. Run, forward, back, side to side, swing, big looping arm swings and everything. Pickleball is none of that. Pickleball is almost always played doubles. So on a smaller court, so there's very little running. So now you have to get to the ball because the ball doesn't hardly bounce. It's not like a tennis ball. And when I laugh out loud when I see tennis players come to play pickleball, because they step back and they're waiting for that ball to bounce and come back to them, and it never does. It hits the ground like a lump of wet clay, and it bounces a tiny bit. So anyway, you got to run to the ball. I get that, but here's the big problem, and that is so many of us, and I'm just going to say it, God bless us, old people are taking up pickleball because it's like, oh, there's no running. I can just stand there and swing and it's fun and we laugh. And it's all those things. But at the same time, some goober somewhere is going to take some wild swing at a ball and it's going to come at grandma at a pretty rapid pace. And she's either going to duck or try to get out of the way or fall down with the ball coming at her. And there you go. And there's your injury. And so you see lots of bruised ankles and rear ends that have been fallen on and elbows that have been fallen on. So yeah, you you do have to be careful with it. It's still the most fun you can have, you know, outdoors like that. Okay, so rant over. So now you know the pickleball story. If anybody ever wants to play pickleball in Gainesville, Florida, just call me, because I am always ready for a game of pickleball. So anyway, yes.
Okay.
Play pickleball, old folks, but as the great Clint Eastwood once say, man's got to know his limitations.
I need to go down to because I always thought, and maybe they do and maybe they don't now, I'm going to investigate a little more, because we have tennis courts, and I never go to the tennis court or the pickleball court. But it seems like, you know, they're in the same, you know, because they always have a big old net around them or a big old fence around them.
Yes.
So I've got to go in there and check if there's a net that's lower than the other net, or if they're cheating and using a tennis court. I don't know, because I've never been. I've walked by the area going to the pool, but I've never been in the area because, well, early in life, the wife and we thought we'd pick up tennis. Basically what it was, she hits the ball, I run and go get it, and then I hit the ball to her, she runs and gets it.
Yeah.
No one ever hits it back and forth.
No, that's it totally. Now, some places, like when I was living down in Venice, high-end gated community had both. They had, you know, set aside, you know, regular tennis courts, and then they also had regular set aside freestanding on their own pickleball courts. And the beauty, like I said, the beauty of a pickleball court is you can literally put 2 pickleball courts on one tennis court. It extends a couple of feet.
Have real pickleball courses, or do we have tennis and pickleball?
Tennis/pickleball.
I don't think you can have tennis/pickleball. It's either got to be one or the other.
It has to be one or the other. But what I'm saying is you can put a different, and the tennis players hate this because, of course, tennis players are high and mighty and snooty and all that. But you can, like where I play, like tomorrow morning, if all goes as well, and if the weather is good, tomorrow morning I will go and play pickleball with a local meetup group here in Gainesville. And what they've done is on the tennis court will have like white stripes, and then the county will come in and put blue stripes to lay out a pickleball court on one or the other or both sides of the tennis fence, of the tennis net. So on one side of the net, there'll be one court. On the other side of the net, there'll be another court. And that makes a good, because that way keeps the ball from rolling between the courts too. And you have to bring your own. You can buy the pickleball net for $100, or I don't know, whatever. It comes in a duffel bag. You put it together, you put it up, you center it in the proper place on the court, on the pickleball stripes. You play, and then when you're done, you take it down, and the tennis players get their court back. So
I am going to investigate with the neighbors next time I see them out.
I will expect your report back next week. I think that's a great idea.
Here I thought it was a Canadian game.
Well, it started, again, I don't want to go into too much detail because I've bored you with pickleball stories long enough. Rumor has it started up in Seattle somewhere, up in Washington State. So maybe it had a Canadian influence, I don't know. But rumor has it started in the Seattle area not that long ago, like in the 60s or 70s or something like that. And again, who knows, pickleball. It's still kind of an evolving sort of thing. It's getting super big now. Like big, they're going to start a professional league or something like that. I don't know, more details as they become available, as they say. So
I think I'm going to go look at the court. I would go try, but I would be one of those people that would end up in the ER by the first 5 minutes of the game.
I hear you. I totally get it. For the rest of us, I'd invite you to look into pickleball at your local rec center or wherever it might happen to be. Because it is super fun, and it's kind of really a gentleman's gentle ladies game. It's like, you don't argue, you want to try that one again, you want to play it, point on the line, I don't know, let's play it over again, what. we try. I mean, some guys are obviously more, gung-ho about it than others, but
Now, see, another thing my neighbors say when they go down and play pickleball,
yes,
they go, we're used to playing it, just, fun. She goes, there's some real serious players down there that are taking it much too far.
yes. There's 2 parks here in the Gainesville area where I play. One of them in the evening has a lot of younger people, and they're serious. They're like, whoa, pickleball, whoa, crunch, crunch. And this old man goes out there, and I can be on the same court with those kids, but there's no way I'm going to be, they're 20 somethings. I'm 60 somethings, so fine. But then I have a meetup group of older seniors, and we have a fun time, and that's awesome. And that's obviously the one I prefer as well. So there you go. Pickleball stories. Woo! Love it. We are about halfway through already with our pickleball story and all of that. How about we take a quick break and I refill the coffee and you do what you need to do?
All right. Hey, this is where you people can put your commercial right here, as we'll be right back.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
And welcome back. It's the BJ and Bill podcast. I'm Bill Stevens. That's BJ Odom over there. Get in touch with us anytime on email at bjandbillpodcast@gmail.com or on Facebook. Head on over to BJ and Bill Podcast. Just do a search for us on Facebook and you will find our picture. I noticed that some of the pictures have the new BJ and Bill artwork and some have the old ones. We need to kind of get our man Jay on that and make sure that we don't have the blonde Bill Stevens anymore.
Oh, but you were so sexy with the blonde hair.
I understand. I just don't want to give ladies the wrong idea, Yeah.
We want that blonde. That's who we want.
Send over that blonde guy. Sorry, ladies. There's a lot of gray in it, but there's not a lot of blonde in it. I'm going to be honest with you. So there you go. Yeah.
Well, a few episodes back, you talked about getting the new iPhone 14.
And here
it is.
I'm holding it up to the camera so BJ can see it. Of course, I spent some good money on a case for it, so you can't see it in all its sexiness. But yes, I have the new iPhone 14. I didn't spring for the Pro. I just got the regular iPhone 14.
So you got the amateur 14.
I prefer to think of it as the, I got the amateur 14. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
A pro is a pro, and anything else is an amateur.
I have to admit, you're probably right with that. So yes, I have the amateur iPhone 14. It still leaps and bounds better than my old iPhone 8. I'm still getting used to the fact that this one has the Face ID, that it sees you, that when you pick it up, it goes, it usually turns right on. You don't have to put a finger on a button or anything like that. That's cool. I like that. That's really nice. It's not. And I guess that's the good news and the bad news with iPhones is once you learn it, it's like, it's the same. I mean, my iPhone 8 was, I don't know how many years old, but I got this new one and it's like, I know how to use it. It has one or two different things because it doesn't have a button on the front.
I know that when I first bought mine and it didn't have a button, I was worried about it. But after you do it a few times, it's pretty cool that just pick it up and boom, you're in.
You're in. I love that. I do. Yeah.
I do something weird. I don't know what I do with my iPhone.
Right.
But I'll be using it and all of a sudden, the light that you have, where the camera side is, a light where if if it's dark and you're trying to use like a little flashlight or trying to maybe get into the house and you want to turn on the light.
The flashlight. Yeah.
It comes on just, I don't know what I do. My wife says you surely do something.
Right.
But I don't know what I do, but all of a sudden it'll magically come on.
There is a function. Oh, I changed it. There's a function in iPhone that will let you set up, and I'm holding up my iPhone like I do on my videos on Facebook. Nobody can see it, of course. But there's a function if you go to the settings, and it's called back tap, exactly like it sounds. And if I just tap on the back of the phone twice or 3 times, you can have it do things. And one of those things is turn on the flashlight. So maybe you have that set. I'm not saying you do, but maybe you do, and you can take a look at that later. So
I'm trying to get it to go now, but it's not going.
It's not going. I know. So,
but see, I have a hard case. You probably couldn't do that with a hard case, could you?
Mine, I have a case on the back of mine, and it does. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, see, I have mine set so that when I tap on it twice, it opens the calculator, because I use that, calculator. You lose that all the time. So I have that. So I tap twice and it opens the calculator. Sometimes I used to have it 1, 2, 3. No, I used to have it where it would tap 3 times to turn on the flashlight. Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want. No, never mind. So stay tuned for Bill's iPhone tips and tricks on his Facebook page. That's all I'm saying. So there you go.
Oh, I was going to try to get another one from you, because I'd heard of that, but I never really heard it explained about the tap. Mm-hmm. So now what do you do? Where is it in settings? If
in
you want
settings,
to do it?
you hit the gear button. You find let me make sure I'm not lying to you here. So if I go to settings.
What do you go to though? I mean, I know where settings is, but where do you do that?
And it's on the background, sound background, skip back. No, okay, that's not it. So let's try tap back. Settings, accessibility, touch. Is that it? Assistive, reachability, happiness. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one. I'm not sure. Oh, there it is. Yeah, back tap. Why didn't you find that when I wanted to? So if you go to settings in your iPhone, and then you go to accessibility, and then in settings, and then you scroll all the way down to the accessibility, and you go to where is that shortcut? No. I'm gonna have to find this for you. I don't see it off the top of my head here. But anyway, if you just do a search in settings for tap back, you'll find it. So there you go. That'll be $25, please.
I should do that every week. I should throw you a curveball and ask you just something out of the blue.
You could try. I'm pretty good with iPhones, but there's some things and some things they change. Of course, every time they update the little operating system, the iOS update, they change 1 or 2 little tiny things to try to make it better. And of course, all of us are scratching our heads going, wait a minute, it was here last time. Now what's going on?
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate when Facebook changes things too.
Oh yeah, they do that all the time. So, well, Facebook, gee whiz. What are they going to do?
I tell you, the thing that I hate the most about Facebook is if you see something that you really, really like, like, oh, that's pretty cool. Let me go back up there and look at it again.
Right.
And then you never can find it again. It's
Facebook
like, I know it was up here somewhere.
You want to do another Facebook lesson now? Just hit the 3 spots up in the top right corner of the post, and you can save it to a collection or something like that. I save jokes and stuff all the time like that when I'm thinking of stuff for the show or stuff I want to post on my Facebook page. Absolutely.
Well, speaking of smartphones.
Oh my God, it's a lesson, folks. What?
More kids and this is, I would fall into this category where you wouldn't, but most kids can use their smartphones better than they can tie their shoelaces.
So we have raised a generation of young kids who can use a smartphone but can't tie rabbit ears shoes.
I guess they need to make the phone like point it towards your feet and it ties your shoe.
I'll bet you there's 1,000 YouTube videos that show you how to tie shoes, probably for little kids.
And you could look at that on your smartphone.
You can, yes, you absolutely can. There's have you seen and there's a Nissan, the car company Nissan has their Heisman House commercials. If you watch college football, you have to see the Nissan Heisman House commercials. And they have Steve Spurrier, the old ball coach, the old head coach of the Florida Gators, is the old guy in the house. And he's with all the young football players. And the commercial is he's standing out in the driveway with a plug in his hand, and he's looking to where does the gas cap go for the plug-in car. And the two young football players are going, "Coach, you just plug it in." And he's like looking at this thing going, "What? Plug in a car? What?" And then later in the commercial, it shows them inside the house, and there's an old phone. I mean, an old school phone, wired rotary dial, ringing on the desk. And the two young football players are staring at it like, "What the heck is this?" And Spurrier walks by going, "Boys, you just pick it up. You just pick it up." And the two guys are going, "I don't know. I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid, Coach. I'm afraid."
Yeah.
So there you go.
Now, I've seen the videos where they'll put like an old rotary phone or, push button phone on the desk, and then they'll bring young people in and say, "Call your mother," or call your best friend.
Give you $50 if you can call and
and they'll like talk to it, and they won't pick up the receiver, but they'll push buttons.
Yeah,
and it's hysterical.
It is. And for those of you Star Trek fans out there, I already know what you're thinking, because there was one of the Star Trek movies where they went back in time to old Earth in the 1990s or 1980s or whatever. And Scotty, the chief engineer, sits down at some old computer, and he does exactly the same thing. He says, "Computer," and it doesn't respond. And the guy walking by picks up a mouse and hands Scotty the mouse, and Scotty holds the mouse like a microphone and says, "Computer." Still doesn't work. So yeah, we've trained a whole generation of kids who can't tie their shoes but know how to work a smartphone.
And they've got to have a digital phone too. They can't have like a phone with a watch.
No, you got to talk
hands. It's got to be digital.
Oh, you mean a watch, a clock face with hands on it? Yeah, I still have on my smartphone. I still have the watch, the clock widget. Again, I'm holding it up to the camera, but I have the clock widget that shows the hands. I still like the hands. I know we're old, right? Would you prefer a watch that had hands on it or that shows the digital?
I mean, I can read one with hands,
right? But
I anymore prefer digital.
Really?
Yes.
Because you can, and now that you said that, that's interesting, because you can buy, most people that you see wearing one of those fancy expensive Apple watches, a lot of them set them to look like an old school watch with the hands and the clock face on it.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Maybe that's just us old folks. Maybe I'm just
mine's set digitally.
Okay.
Mine's on the digital thing.
You got an Apple Watch?
Yes.
Okay. That's the last, I think that's the last frontier for me. That might be my Christmas present to myself.
You don't know that much about it, because I was going to say, I got the weirdest thing.
Oh, he's going to try and hit me up for more stuff.
Now, you're not going to know the answer to this. Well, because you don't have an Apple Watch, or maybe
I don't,
you will.
So I probably won't know.
But you can ask Siri questions.
Right.
I take my hand, and I do that quite frequently. I raise my hand above my head and behind my head while I'm sitting there relaxing, watching television.
Yes.
And 1 out of 10 times, "What can I help you with?" Like,
really?
Nothing. I didn't even ask you. But Siri just wants to know what I want.
Might be a setting or something in there that's when you move it in a certain way, it does it thinks that you're looking for help. I don't know. I couldn't tell you about that. I'll look it up. I'll have an answer for you next week. I promise.
Hey, we got Siri, and we got the other one. I'm not going to say her name because
she'll
light up in this house.
Yep. I've got the other lady, the Amazon lady as well. I have her here, and I have one of the little itty bitty ones next to my bed. And I'm not going to say I'd be lost without her, but I use her a lot, just in the middle of the night. What time is it? What's the weather for tomorrow? Do I have any reminders, et cetera? I use that. I do. I use it a lot. I'm not ashamed to say that, without the Amazon lady in my life, I'd be lost, but it's right up there.
My problem is we fight a lot.
You and the Amazon lady fight?
Yeah, we tend to fight because I'll ask her something and she'll tell me something totally different or do something totally different.
Oh.
Then I don't know. Now that I look back at it, I don't know if I fight more with the wife or the Amazon lady.
Wow. You are just, what's up with you?
I've actually cussed her out a few times.
And does she have a comeback or does she just?
Oh yeah. Like, I don't understand.
Oh.
Well, you blinkety blink, blank, blank, should you dumb blinkety blink, blank, blank.
I have a friend down south, down in Cape Coral, and he was a younger guy, computer geek type, and he had the whole house wired for lights and sound and TV and all that. But he argued with her, not argued, he'd tell her off a lot too. That's not what I meant, you crazy. Okay, yep. Whatever.
And I'm right there with him.
Okay, all right. Well, I get it.
Now she'll turn on our kitchen lights. She will turn on our bedroom lights, and she will you can tell her you want the TV Fire Stick to open to such and such app and cool. Such and such program. And by golly, most times she will, unless she's a little PO'd at me from the night before, and so we're still fighting. I'm waiting for one day when I say her name and she goes, "I'm sorry, but I have filed for divorce."
You're the first guy in history that the Amazon lady is actually divorcing you. I love that. That's great. Wow. Well, pretty soon. I mean, they're going to run the world anyway. You might as well get used to it now.
I've got to figure out, because I think there is a way, because we're on so many different platforms now.
Right.
With our podcast.
Right.
And I have asked her one time to enable the BJ and Bill podcast skill, but I don't know what you're supposed to say or how I can find it. But somewhere in her world, she should be able to find that. Maybe that's something you can work on this week if you can.
Hang on. I'm going over to the Amazon lady in my office. I know you can't see me, but I'll go. Amazon, Alexa, play podcast.
Sure. I found how I built this with Guy Raz. This podcast is a narrative journey about the entrepreneur.
Alexa, stop. Alexa, play the BJ and Bill podcast.
Playing J and B podcast from iHeartRadio. Just so you know, while you're listening, you can ask me to fast forward or rewind by any amount of time, like 5 minutes. Now for your podcast. Here's the latest episode. Steelers 2019 season prediction.
Steelers 2019. Alexa, stop. Okay, so that experiment was a failure.
See, this is at the point where I'm yelling at her.
Well, I was just doing it as an experiment, and I failed, so it's okay.
But I wonder if you can do that. There's got to be a way.
Well, the BJ and Bill podcast is on iHeartRadio, right?
I believe so.
Okay.
Let me try and find here. I'm going to try to find the directions here.
Well, if you go to your phone, it's going to open up the Apple Podcasts, and I know we're on that because I listen to that all the time. So
I know we're on Spotify.
Okay.
I know we're on TuneIn.
Oh, let's try that. So we're going to try again. Alexa, open the BJ and Bill podcast on Spotify.
Sorry, I don't know that one. If you can ask me to recommend a podcast.
She don't know Spotify.
We should tell her to recommend the BJ and Bill podcast, the dumb biatch.
We'll try that later. So I have a mission this week. I have a mission to teach the Amazon lady to find the BJ and Bill podcast.
Yes.
So, all right. That's a cool idea. I mean, because everybody should be able to, because then you could just ask.
Yeah.
And it would work. That's cool.
Maybe I would start liking her again if she could do that.
You two might get back together again. This is just like your son and his partner. You're actually divorced, but you're still in the same house.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right. I'm curious about that, but that might be something for another day's show. So we'll see.
There's got to be a way. Where there's a way, there's a will.
Yes.
Or a skill. Where there's a way, there's a skill.
Oh, There's a new T-shirt or bumper sticker or
Because
something.
now when you like, let's say I work at WPCV,
Right.
the radio
Shameless
station.
plug.
Now, the very first time I have to say, Amazon lady, enable the WPCV app.
Mm.
And then every time after that, I just have to say, Alexa, play WPCV. And she,
No, that's a,
hey, hey, Alexa, turn off. See, you can't say her name.
and you turned off the one in my office. So good job. Thank you. So, but you have to say what? Enable a skill? Is that what you're saying? So if
ask your lady
to
enable the 97 country skill.
Here we go. Hang on. It's just 97 country?
Yeah.
Okay. Alexa, enable the 97 country skill.
I found a few matches for that. Do you mean 90s letters?
What's the name of the radio station?
WPCV.
This is Rejoice Radio.
Oh, Alexa, stop. Say again.
WPCV. That's P as in Paul.
Right, PCV. Alexa, enable the WPCV radio skill.
I found a few skills that might help. Did you mean WPCR radio?
No, WPCV radio.
Playing 97 country.
It worked.
Yes. Now you don't have to say enable. Now you just have to tell her to play it all from now on.
Alexa, stop. We can't play more than 30 seconds, right? We'll get in trouble with the licensing there. So awesome. It worked. So now I can just say that and she'll remember. Is that what you're saying?
Just say her name.
All
play
right.
97 country.
Alexa, play 97 country.
Playing 97 country.
This is me looking shocked. Alexa, turn it off.
Now Alexa's listening to you in this house. Thanks a lot, Bill.
So I turned the Amazon lady on in your house and in my house, and now she's, oh boy, that's awesome. See, this is where AI takes over the world. This is how it ends right here. This is it. The computers decide they don't need us anymore. This is how it ends.
Oh my goodness.
Well, that's
awesome.
what?
Next time I go to work, I know what I need to say about 10 times.
What's that?
Can you imagine if somebody's not in their house or they are in their house and I say that and they have the lady that works for them in their house?
Right.
All of a sudden I've got her going off everywhere.
That can only help your ratings. I think you should probably do that. I think you should, wherever you go, teach the Amazon lady, the Apple lady, the Google lady, teach them all to play your radio station. That's awesome.
Now, speaking of that,
yes,
here's another kind of that made me think of it. Were you that guy? I know I was, especially during ratings period, that you would go into like, well, there's no Circuit Cities nowadays and there's no Radio Shack.
Best Buy.
But there's a store that sells radios.
Yep.
And they have them on in the background.
Yep.
Maybe it's a one to put in your car and they let you experiment.
I hear this coming. Keep talking.
Were you that guy too that would always tune it on the radio station you worked at?
I think one of my former bosses, told everybody, like the Amazon lady, gave us that skill a long time ago. Like, no matter where you're at, go ahead, just turn it on to the radio station, and turn it up. Well, not turn it up so that they turn it off, but turn it up so people can hear. Yeah, of course I did that. Of course I did. Now I will say, and here's the reverse of that, which was fun and cool and kind of a little ego stroke. Years ago, before BJ and Bill, I was working at another radio station in Fort Myers in Cape Coral, actually. And I bought a new car. It might have been like one of the very, very, very few brand new cars I ever bought in my life. And I was doing all the paperwork. I did everything. And it was like, okay, come back tomorrow. We'll clean it up. It'll be ready to, we'll do all the prep work and everything like that. And I had used my real name, obviously, to sign all the financial paperwork. but they must have figured out who I was, because when I got in the car to drive away, every button on the radio was set to my radio station at the time. And I thought, oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Thanks, guys. So anyway, that's my other half of that story. So there you go.
Oh yeah. If I would go into a store and it would have like, cause back in the day, a lot of times when they were trying to sell radios, they would have like 10 of them.
Oh, sure.
Or you could listen to like, okay, this one has this sound. This one has this sound. I would go down the line with, if there was 10, there would be 10 radio stations that would be set to WOLZ, Oldies 95 by the time I walked out the door.
That's yeah. You'd go into those like Best Buy, like you said, Circuit City, Best Buy or whatever, and they just have the wall of car radios or whatever, oh, this one has the CD player and this one has the cassette player or what, and change them all the time. All the time did that. Absolutely. So, but then, the next radio guy had probably come along and changed them all over to the next station or whatever. So I don't know how long it lasted, but hey, it made us feel good. And that's what counts. So,
well, can you imagine? Because I know I walked into a lot of places where they'd have different stations and they'd have a rock station on, a country station. They'd have, so I would set them all to my station actually.
Right.
And sooner or later, the guy who works there, whatever, oh my God, this guy was in again.
He strikes again. I'm Batman. He strikes.
And I've done this before. Like you said, I think that was like, back in the day when there was Target. Well, there still is Target, but what was the other one? Kmart. And Kmart used to kind of do that. And I would go in, set all the radios to my station, then go do my shopping or whatever. And I'd go back and see how many would still be on my station. And if they weren't, they would all get changed back again.
That's awesome. I never thought about coming back to make sure. That's awesome. Remember what we used to say back in your rock and roll radio days too? It would be like, tune us in, turn it up, and rip the knob off. So you wouldn't have to change it again. So now
I worked at a station, then we were told we had to quit doing it. But we would say the call letters of the radio station.
Right.
And well, obviously it was the voice guy, and we had to pull WOLZ, write it down, write it down, write it down.
Yeah.
And we did that for a few years. And then we got a letter or something from the ratings people saying, you can't say that on the radio anymore, or we're going to have to take points away from you.
Can't say write it down. That's right. Because in the old days, do they still do that? Well, just so
some markets do, but the bigger markets now, they do what they call the people meter, where you wear something that was like, and here's another thing, you got to be older to remember, like a beeper. And if there's a radio on, I don't care if you walk into a car dealer, if you walk into your, supermarket, if they're playing a radio, they will pick that up. And then that's what decides, the ratings that way.
Wow.
They call it a people meter.
A people meter.
In fact, I'll just say his name. Because, Bubba the Love Sponge in Tampa.
Been 20 years, yeah.
Yeah, he found like about 2 or 3 guys during one of the ratings periods.
Right.
That had people meters.
Ooh.
He actually paid them to set them down in front of the radio station where he was working and leave them for the week that they had them. And that somehow somebody tattled on him or something.
Right.
Oh, he got him and the radio station he worked for got major league fines.
I can imagine that if you turned in a people meter or whatever, and it only had one radio station on it 24/7 for a week, I might get a little suspicious. I might think, hey, nobody's listening at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m., whatever. So yeah, you probably have to mix it up a little bit. Yeah. But, and again, for folks who don't know, this is how radio ratings worked back in the day. I don't know if they still are or not. I have no idea.
Well, I know they still, I think what it is, and we maybe have talked about this, there's size markets, like there's big markets with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And there's medium markets with quite a few people. And there's small markets with not as many people.
Right.
And I know the smaller and the medium markets, I do still believe they use the diary where you have to write everything down.
Yeah.
And like the major and large markets like Tampa Bay, Orlando, I don't know if Orlando is or not, but but the large markets, that's where you have the people meters, like New
And
York,
they're still using those things today.
I believe so,
Interesting.
because they're somewhat new.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, you could ask somebody to put an app on their phone that would listen all the time. And then it could just use the Wi-Fi to report back what you listen to. Because I mean, Siri's listening to you all the time anyway. The Amazon lady, she's listening to you all the time anyway. So it's like, you might as well put it to good use, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that worries me a little bit, but I'm not one of those people that says, I know people says I'm never going to get one of those ladies in my house because she listens to everything you say, but so does your phone. It's like, yeah, is it scary in a way?
Yeah.
But if anybody wants to find out what radio station I'm listening to, or what I want the recipe for, or what I'm shopping for this particular day, well, so be it.
Yeah, but it's not the recipes they're interested in. It's when you start talking about politics or whatever that people start to, now I want to know, is he talking about voting for this guy or that guy? Or is he talking about buying a gun? Or, I mean, really, that's where it starts to get a little scary.
But I don't think they're there yet, but yeah.
I hope you're right. And on that happy note, we're about done for another week. Unbelievable.
I come in with these topics, and sometimes we'll hit on one or two, and then we just seem to, as Debbie said, you guys just flow, and it's like the good old days.
Just two old guys just sitting back shooting the breeze.
Used to be two medium-aged guys.
What's that?
Back.
What's that?
I said it used to be just two medium-aged guys sitting back.
And now it's two old guys. Times change, but not everything. So yes, as always, it's awesome. If you have a story or something that you'd like to share, feel free to share it with us. Or if there's something you'd like us to talk about, if you remember something or just some interesting topic that's crossed your mind and go, I wonder what those two geniuses, BJ and Bill, think about it. I'll send them an email. You could send it to bjandbillpodcast@gmail.com or look it up on the Facebook page and just leave it as a comment right there. Just do a search for BJ and Bill Podcast on Facebook and you're good to go, right?
Yes, sir.
Another week in the can, someday we'll talk about why it's in the can. I haven't figured that one out. I don't either.
You look that up and we'll maybe let them know next week. There's our little tease for.
You're leaving me with homework. All this homework. Okay. Until that time, have a great week, everybody. And now it's just up to BJ Odom to say,
see ya.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.